guys and gals, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming, and some of you may on Twitter, The Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming at you with a new Let's Play series on Interea. A sequel, somewhat of a sequel to Adastra. That's right, we're jumping back into more Adastra content, y'all. So after this one, I'm going to be doing Chemiel, which is supposed to be a full-blown sequel to Adastra. So anyway, y'all, before we jump into it, y'all, I just wanted to let y'all know that our Patreon is now up. We already have several members signing up. We have that Discord server is filling up a little bit more. So yeah, y'all, it's as low as $5. You get bronze, silver, and gold tiers, $5, $10, and $15 respectively, all with exclusive rewards. So if y'all want to sign up for as little as $5, it really helps out the channel. Anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm Chan, you are up, and let's go. Alright, let's see what we got. More of that Adastra goodness. So, that's the plan then. Ah yes, the monitor. The dragon floats at a single isolated point in the vast universe. I suppose this is from Amicus's perspective. You know that whenever I speak, it is with the utmost respect. Don't you know all? If that was sarcasm, you would know, so why ask? I was trained to speak with unfamiliar beings as oh, he's not talking to Amicus. I was trained to speak with unfamiliar beings whose existences escape my comprehension. You do not need to accommodate me. There's a pause. Actually, why are you distracting me like this? You know, the Galenians were actually easier to speak to. Apologies, it is not my place to speak of such tender things. You do have such tender feelings. Indeed, that was sarcasm. But let me speak seriously once more. After botching their first mission so terribly, don't you feel the human and wolf have been through enough? Or risk their livelihoods once more? Yes, about my place. Well, despite your best efforts, there remain sapient feelings of empathy within me. Yes, fine. I shall begin watching. He claps his paws together, honing his concentration, focusing it down from the vast stretches of the universe, from dimensions unseen down to a single being in his own realm of existence. A single being on a single moon in a single bedroom next to his wolf. Full name? Is it Killian? It's Killian, right? Name? Maybe? Is this Killian? I think. Killian, he mumbles quietly, and he disappears into a whirlpool of bending light. I feel myself coming to, in that moment where you realize you're waking up. The way I've felt in this moment has changed drastically over the course of my stay here. Just months ago, it was usually the worst part of the day, having to remember what had happened and all the obstacles that were ahead of me. Most of that stress ended with the fight at the amphitheater. Now, that feeling of dread has evolved into, well, another kind of dread. The day I will have to say goodbye is drawing nearer. Still, along with that feeling comes one of love and relief. Because I know what I'll see when I open my eyes. Aww. Sure enough, the Emperor of Adastra is splayed out before me, leaving himself exposed in a way that he never would while awake. Well, at least when it isn't just the two of us. The warmer months of it on Adastra have arrived, about the same as it was when I first landed on the moon. Because of that... one second now. Eyelash in my eye! Because of that, the bedding is especially light, and our only blanket is pulled down to a point that almost makes him look like a tastefully covered-up model. He doesn't really need a blanket. In fact, he hardly ever used them before he met me. Now, he does it for my benefit, starting the night with his body and blanket wrapped my furless body. Then, usually by the end of the night, we both become so hot that we end up splayed out, the blanket wadded up and off to the side. I like the position of it now, though. Feels like he can feel my eyes on him, though. He shifts, then yawns hugely. I stare into that gaping maw for a moment, for some reason tempted to poke my hand inside. It's something I would sometimes do when he was yawning particularly hard, something that was always sure to annoy him. It's probably less of a good idea to do it while he's still mostly asleep. There's enough power behind those jaws to easily sever any body part I have. He has to consciously restrain himself when handling me even so casually, so better to leave the teasing for when he's fully conscious. I smirk at the slight whine at the end of his yawn, kind of like I've heard dogs do back on Earth. Aww. That's so cute. Looks like, water time. If he wasn't aware of me earlier, the soft exhale of air from my stifled laugh gives me away. That piercing blue eye is on me in an instant, and I'm a little startled by how quickly he honed in on me. Amicus isn't always in the best of moods when he wakes up, especially these days. I clear my throat. Good morning, Amicus. He doesn't say anything, just eyeing me suspiciously. What? You find something amusing? Amicus is using his Emperor voice on me, a serious tone that I reluctantly have to admit suits him well. But I know the playful, outgoing man beneath that regal exterior, so it doesn't really work on me. I don't think amusing is the right word, my Emperor. I glide my hand over the fur on his chest, feeling the swell of the muscle before dipping into the valley between his pecs. His little act falters. Slowly, he lays back, and I feel him relax even more than he already has. I feel his abs lose all tension as I rub the hand through his belly fur, rubbing it in a circle and mussing it up a bit. To this day, I find myself marveling over his body. His massive size compared to my own is awe-inspiring enough. But I also feel how soft he can become, despite the latent power I know sits behind the relaxed padded muscle. It's something I got to feel regularly at night now, my hands clasping his sides while his chin is against the top of my head. I work to control my thoughts, knowing that Amicus doesn't have time for distractions like that in the morning. Slowly, I pull my hand back slightly, sighing. Of course, he notices. What's the matter? Nothing. Amicus rumbles deep in his chest the way the wolves somehow are able to do. Yeah, that's gonna have to get a little... Yeah, that's a penis. Then he turns heavily onto his side, purposely keeping his paws up so that he stays exposed, encouraging me to keep rubbing. And also probably just enjoying showing off what he knows I really like. You are the one that always brings up our communication, as you put it. He breathes in deeply, his chest swelling out and his stomach sucking in a bit, showing off his figure. So, communicate with me, Killian. I know you need to go to work, but I like being with you here, that's all. Still, my hand reaches out, smoothing over his side, down his ribcage before resting on his side, and I feel the skin and muscle beneath twitch slightly. That's almost convincing, but if you do not tell me the full truth, I will pin you and smother you while nibbling your ear until even Nephro hears you across the palace. You'd like that to happen, wouldn't you? I eye the giant paws that Amicus keeps relaxed near his head. You would like it even more. Nephro might like it most. He's weird like that. I open my mouth to keep up our banter, but that's when Amicus does roll over before coming to a stop with his body arched over mine. He keeps himself on his knees and elbows so as to keep his weight off of me. I cringe, preparing myself for the overwhelming way his flexible tongue is able to tickle my ear. Instead, he presses his lips to mine. I lay underneath him, forcing myself to relax. Finally, he pulls back, narrowing his gaze down his muzzle, looking me in the eye. I love you, but we will discuss this further when I return. His more serious demeanor is melting away as he becomes more awake, rolling away to... 1 second, y'all. 1 second. Hey, sorry about that, y'all. The, landlord's, grandma dropped by to bring us some stuff. A little care package. She just got back from her trip to Hawaii, so it's always nice seeing her. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump right back in. Well, no one else in the house is up right now, except for me, apparently, and my partner is at work right now, so I guess she heard my voice, and she knew someone was home, so I heard the little tapping on the glass. Anyway, his more serious demeanor is melting away as he becomes more awake, rolling away to stand up next to the bed. I sit there ruefully, keeping myself covered with the blankets so my erection isn't all that obvious. That was mean. There's somehow just a little bit embarrassing about how I've known Amicus this long, yet he still has this kind of power over me. No, God. I was teasing, partially. I will want to know if Sprite has got updated. I will want to know if something is really bothering you. Is it the moon tour? I thought you'd be excited. I am. Seriously, I'm fine. I'm just glad we get to have these moments in the morning before you leave, and the week ahead, too. I eye his demeanor. Second, y'all. Water time. Obviously can't save it right there because penis. I eye his demeanor. Now it looks like something's bothering you. It's strange with you. You tell me something, yet half the time it feels like you were telling me the opposite. It's like... He pauses. I narrow my eyes, knowing what's coming. You're a bit of a female. I keep my expression stone cold, knowing that he's just trying to coax me into talking more. I also know if I act offended, that it will just give him the satisfaction of seeing me contradict myself when it comes to gender equality. You're late. Yes, I was just joking. I get my own satisfaction, seeing Amicus flustered over his failed attempt at teasing. I roll my eyes, waving him off to show that it's alright. We will talk later today for sure, before we leave. We'll have all week to talk. Better hurry before Virginia uses comm to call you. Right. Amicus hurries from the room. hurries around the room, grabbing his cape and trousers before disappearing into the bathroom. He skips his usual shower, though at least he brushed his fur. He leans over, kissing me again and quickly this time. My meeting should only go to the 11th hour. See you then. You better be looking forward to our holidays. I am. Later. I smile back at him, which seems to satisfy the wolf before he disappears out the door, leaving me alone in the bedroom. I listen to his heavy steps thunder down the hallway before sighing heavily again. What do you think, Com? Does the 11th hour really mean the 13th or the 14th? The 11th hour refers to the 11th hour and the 19-hour Adastran day. Thank you, Com. Please pick up where we left off yesterday, and Adastra, a history. Very well. I start to get ready myself, but at a much slower pace than Amicus. Meanwhile, I listen to what is considered the quintessential record of the wolves on the moon. It takes me several weeks to get through it. It began with Drusus 10,000 years ago, the moment he named the moon Adastra. Pre-Adastra, or Time of the Mater, is something I probably won't be getting to anytime soon. It's probably for the best considering how much more fractured and confusing the moon was in those days. Adastra's history is an easy-to-follow single line of emperorship, though it does start to blur together after 10,000 years. I've started to perk up a bit more as it's neared the present day, especially with the mention of Amicus's father. Though I've gotten deeper into the history, I find myself wanting to pull back. While the Wolven approach has always been brutal, it's becoming more difficult to listen to now that it's focused on the father of my lover. Amicus seemed excited for me to learn that part of history. His own history, really. I haven't told him I've gotten to that point yet, though. The ruthless power moves and executions, both of which have occurred countless times over the past several millennia, feel quite a bit more personal. Amicus looks up to his father quite a bit, but now that I'm learning more about him... Emperor Poach saw to it that the Chemians would receive the message loud and clear, so he sent his trusted friend Cato to the planet Cordo 2413b, on which Chemian geneticists were uplifting a primitive Wolverine race. At this point, I'm getting into the beginning of the Chemian War, the third one. Even the tone of the record seems to have become defensive. Just 77 light-years away from Adastra, this was an affront to Wolven sovereignty. Cato thus cleansed the planet of the Chemian crime and returned peacefully to Adastra with no further bloodshed. Upon Cato's return, Emperor Poach received him with much fanfare. Hold on, Com. I just finished pulling on my robes and now sit on the edge of the bed, wondering if I really wanted to know. It's not like I could change history. Is it worth knowing something that's already done, that might paint my view of Amicus' own father in such a bad light? Well, the answer is yes. Understanding the wolves is the point of why I'm doing this. Com, read a Chemian Counterpoint to Adastra, a History, Chapter 12, Section 2. There's a pause. It doesn't take a genius to know that what I just heard had been whitewashed to almost non-existence. Luckily, the Chemian that wrote this correction to Adastra History organized the volume in a way that mirrored Adastra, a History. Second, y'all. Water time. Yeah, the wolves seem like they're going full fucking exterminatus on some planets. She wanted it to be as easy as possible to find the Chemian viewpoint in all of Adastran history. Of course, Amicus doesn't know I've been pairing Chemian records with Adastra's own, but I just needed something to balance all of this out. The planet Deshareth was first explored by the wolves 15,324 years after Chemia's unification. After discarding the planet as barren of promising sapient life, Chemia requested rights from Adastra to explore the planet themselves. This was granted after a price was negotiated and paid in precious metals. Exploration began in 18,342, and within 2 months a promising sapient lifeform was discovered in the form of underground-dwelling Wolverine creatures. Uplift was initiated, but just 200 years into the project, Adastra finally learned of this sapient lifeform they missed centuries ago. Instead of initiating talks, the wolves instead launched a surprise attack, massacring over 500 Chemians and 135,000 uplifted Wolverines. Only 2 Wolverines were recovered by a rescue mission several months later. The atrocities committed against this peaceful uplift mission included extensive use of incendiary weaponry. Oh god, that sounds both German and Egyptian mixed together. Von Neferhotep, the lead of the rescue mission, recalled that burnt corpses were left scattered in hundreds across the region, left amongst the ruins of homes, schools, nurseries. Calm, that's enough for today. Yes, Killian. I rub my eyes with my hands, already feeling tired. I can just tell myself that this is someone else's problem, a sin the wolves have to answer to themselves. Because I'm with Amicus, a part of this civilization, and he seems so stubborn about only having pride in his culture. Well, I need to address this somehow at some point. I don't want to always take the Chemians' word over Adastra's, but considering that the Chemians tend to admit them when they made mistakes, it naturally makes me trust them more. I decide to continue my lessons when I get back from the tour. I feel like I can't really stomach much more Wolven atrocities at the moment. I'd rather have breakfast. Yeah, they feel a lot like the Imperium at this point from 40k. I'm alone in the corridors, as usual. I tend to get out at a later time than the others. Not that I'd really enjoy the company of many of the others. Oh, alright, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. I got a little bit of editing to do. Y'all, don't forget to check out the Patreon. It really helps the channel. But anyway, I love you all. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!